Welcome back, bucko, to another creepy and scary TikTok reaction with your boy Jet Ski Chuck. And you want to be careful because these TikToks might make you rethink your entire reality. These videos are strictly for entertainment purposes only. Damn, these waters getting a little chilly. Activate all-terrain mode. Yeah, that's a lot better. All-terrain mode, fully engaged. Let's go. Engage hyperdrive. Hey, listen!
Operation Uncover the Deep is a go. Good luck, Jet Ski Chuck.
Why doesn't anyone talk about this? Scientists have just discovered a gigantic ocean 430 miles beneath the Earth's surface. Let me break this down for you. They went down 430 miles in the ocean and found an ocean inside the ocean. Does this mean the Agartha theory is real? Just a quick recap. The Agartha theory is that there is a legendary city said to reside in the Earth's core. Because think about it, how can you find another ocean inside the ocean? Everything you knew about the oceans is wrong. The scientists said that you could take all three of our oceans, Atlantic, Pacific, and the Indian, and put them together, and this new ocean is still 3 times bigger. This is what you're probably thinking. So they got to the bottom of the ocean, and then the water ended, but they then find another ocean. This raises a few questions. How do you go 430 miles beneath the ocean? Does the water stop at some point? And now we get to the craziest part. And if there is water beneath the oceans, could that mean there is land beneath the surface? Why doesn't anyone talk about this? Scientists.
The only thing that keeps running in my mind when I look at oceans underneath the earth is the great deep. Alexandria catacombs? What in the world is that? Why are these catacombs so deep? Mammoth Cave? Oh, we're still going down. The Hadron Collider's all the way down there. Cave of Crystals? Tears of Turtle? How fascinating are these deep down under caves though? Kazamura Cave? Just to think that maybe an ancient civilization really was operating that deep. There's an observatory. China got it going on deep underground, don't they? Gothard Base Tunnel. What's the deepest point? No. Come on. They don't want us to see. There it is. It's still going, guys. How can you dig this deep? Deep water horizon. Unbelievable. If they had an observatory at the bottom of that, would you take a trip down there and see it? If you had access to go see the crystal cave, would you see it knowing it's that deep?
We are standing in the largest geode in the world. It's called the Crystal Cave, and it is located under Heinemann's Winery on South Bass Island in Lake Erie. The cave is 40 feet below the surface. It was discovered in 1897 by workers who were digging a new well for the winery. It's around 15,000 years old and measures an incredible 35 feet long. It is large enough for a small group of people to stand inside of it at the same time. One of the crystals from this cave is displayed in the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History. You can take a tour of this incredible cave during your visit to South Bass Island. You can get here by ferry boat. Follow us for more Lake Erie adventures.
Wow, that's in Lake Erie? I've never heard of anything to do in Lake Erie, and now this is a first. I'd love to see that.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
The first one right here, we call it the lighthouse, and it stands at 11 feet tall. The one over here we call the castle, and that one stands at 14 feet tall in 35 feet of water. And the deepest part in the cave is back there, and that drops off to 55 feet. It doesn't look that deep though, right?
No.
The reason that is because just the first inch of water, that's fresh water from the water dripping in, and then below that it's all salt water. So it kind of gives it a magnifying effect. Very deceiving. And the water temperature is 69 to 72 Fahrenheit year-round. Never changes. 21, 22 in Celsius. Below
This cave in New Zealand has the craziest pool of crystals you've ever seen. Nettlebed Cave is one of the deepest caves in the southern hemisphere, going down about 1.2 kilometers. The cave itself stretches about 38 kilometers and takes 2 days to get through. If you're claustrophobic, this is not the place for you because cavers have to stay overnight in a chamber called Salvation Hall. But those brave enough to enter get to witness these incredible pools of calcite crystals. This is a limestone cave, which is made up of calcium carbonate. And you guessed it, calcite is actually a calcium carbonate crystal. These types of crystals can't grow in flowing water. But when a cave has no drainage for the water to exit, and a constant supply of calcium carbonate dripping from the ceilings, you end up with this. This cave in New Zealand has the craziest pool of crystals you've ever seen.
So they have a cave in New Zealand, crystal caves? How many crystal caves are there? You got geode caves, crystal caves? This, man, we need to go around, do like a field trip and see them all. Like a band tour, but except we're looking at crystal caves. How tight would that be? Sign me up. Yeah, that sounds like me. Like, what else needs to be discovered, man?
A clock begins ticking, and if you don't leave in time... In the year 2000, miners in Mexico drilled into a fault line and uncovered an underwater cave filled with gargantuan crystals. Researchers returned to the cave, drained it, and began studying the massive pillar-like formations. But there was one problem. The cave, situated above a magma chamber, remained near 136 degrees Fahrenheit with a humidity level between 90 and 99%. This means that no human can survive for more than 10 minutes without protective gear, and even with gear, 30 minutes is the maximum safe limit of exposure to these inhospitable conditions. The chemical composition of the cave, plus heat and time, is what allowed the crystals to grow so large, taking at least 500,000 years to form. The largest crystal in the cave is 37 feet long, and took over 1 million years to form. This cavern came to be known as the Cave of the Crystals. Inside the Cave of the Crystals, located in the Mexican Nica mine, microbes between 10,000 and 50,000 years old were found trapped and dormant within the enormous crystals. The microbes, called extremophiles, managed to survive temperatures exceeding 136 degrees Fahrenheit. Scientists even managed to bring these microbes back to life. Study of these microorganisms will aid future searches for life on other planets. The moment you step into this cave, a clock begins ticking.
Or you mean beyond the ice walls? And we need to find out where the dilithium crystals are. We burned one earlier on that jump I did. Wow, that is beautiful. There's another crystal cave and aquarium? Oh my God, sign me up. A crystal cave and an aquarium, guys? That has to be one of the coolest ideas I've ever heard of. Where is this? Oh, I think she went to both. But if it had both, that would be amazing. I love aquariums. Crystal Cave and aquarium in Bermuda. Wow.
Welcome to the Enchanted Cave. This is the largest amethyst crystal cave ever discovered in the world. Weighs 20,000 kilograms. It's about 50,000 pounds in weight. There's about 1 million crystals in here. And we brought it from northern Uruguay, built a building around it, and it's called the Enchanted Cave because everyone just walks in here and just goes into silence. It's just full of awe. Huge cave, 5 meters long. It's about 15 feet long. And it took about a year for our friend to find it, prepare it, get it ready to ship out here. It was so heavy it got embedded in the shipping container floor. Had to get extracted over a period of about 7 hours and brought here. And that's the Enchanted Cave that you can see here at the Crystal Castle near Byron Bay, Australia.
Imagine if you had you cut that thing in half and you had a hot tub. Hear me out. And you had a hot tub and you put sections of it all around the hot tub and you got like a vent. But instead of having a crystal cave, now you got a crystal hot tub. Woo-hoo-hoo. Man, I'll be in there sleep, getting all types of charging up, man. Blocking all the 5G waves, everything. I'm in the hot tub amethyst cave. Holla at me.
So here I am in the dragon egg crystal at the Crystal Castle. So here I am in the dragon egg crystal at the Crystal Castle. That's what we affectionately call this giant amethyst cave from Uruguay. It weighs 10,000 kilos. We went to northern Uruguay especially to get it because we wanted something here that everybody can sit in, because everyone's dream who loves crystals is to sit in a crystal cave. And this beautiful deep color of purple is called Royal Uruguayan Amethyst because it's a violet, deep, rich purple color, gem quality. It's a beautiful formation. And I'm literally sitting in a crystal cave. Every time I feel stressed, I just come and sit in this cave. It has gorgeous formations. They're called piñas, the way they form like this. And this is about 120 million years old. It formed inside a volcano. It was a lava bubble, and certain minerals, heat and pressure were there present at the time, which caused these beautiful purple crystals to form. There's probably something like 500,000 crystals, tiny crystals, inside this cave. It weighs 10,000 kilos. Ayla, my daughter, and I traveled all the way to northern Uruguay to acquire this one crystal cave. This is probably the only place in the entire world where you can come to the Crystal Castle near Byron Bay, Australia, and sit in a magical, ancient amethyst crystal cave. So here I am in the dragon egg crystal.
Dragon egg crystal. Yeah, you can definitely get a good nap and sleep in there. He said whenever he's stressed, he goes in there. How nice must that be? I don't know if it necessarily took millions upon millions of years to make, like he said, but if it didn't, how did this get made? How did this crystal cave get made then, if it didn't take millions and millions of years for it to make? Could it be possible that they had the technology back in the day to make crystals like how we make today? I don't know. You guys drop your thoughts below. How did these massive crystal structures possibly get made is one question.
This is one of my favorite cave tours, and it's the first cave to be discovered in Pennsylvania. It's 125 feet below ground, and it's Crystal Cave in Kutztown. The temperature drops to 54 degrees. They've got a massive gift shop, gem mining where you can channel your inner treasure hunter, hiking trails, mini golf, and a restaurant. The cave was discovered in 1871, and they used to throw ballroom parties in the cave. It's a 1-hour guided tour, and the cave is over 500 feet long. Tickets used to be only 25 cents in the 70s, but now they're $19 for adults and $14 for kids. They also have a wishing well inside where you can make a wish. Save this for next time you want to do something adventurous. This is one of my favorite cave tours, and it's the first cave to be discovered in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania has caves, okay. Forget going to the club. You know, this is where the fun is. Sign me up for, where's the nearest cave at? Where's the nearest museum, aquarium, crystal cave? You know, I'm trying to get my adventure on.
The Cave of Crystals was discovered by miners excavating a tunnel. In the year 2000, the Cave of Crystals was discovered by miners excavating a tunnel for a mine in Mexico. The main chamber contains some of the largest natural crystals ever found in any underground cave. The largest one so far, measuring about 36 feet in length, and weighs over 55 tons. The amazingly huge crystals in this subterranean cave have become this large because of the extremely hot temperatures inside of the underground cavern, and this encourages microscopic crystals to form, rapidly growing much faster than we're used to seeing in cooler locations. Just gazing at these gigantic, beautiful crystals, one can't help but get carried away imagining what else awaits further exploration deeper inside these caves. In the year 2000, the Cave of Crystals was discovered by
Nestled 984 feet underground, this cave is a mesmerizing Nestled 984 feet underground, this cave is a mesmerizing realm adorned with extraordinary gypsum crystals that defy belief. These magnificent crystals, in the form of colossal pillars, have silently grown undisturbed for over 500,000 years. Some are so vast that they stretch across the cave. People have compared this to Superman's mythical Fortress of Solitude. Regrettably, accessing this crystalline marvel is impossible for tourists. It's perhaps for the best, as it's a very hazardous location.
In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, 17th day of the month, same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights.
One of the strangest places on the ocean's floor was only just discovered in the 1990s. And 9th degree is one of a handful of people to ever see it in person.
Without a doubt, one of the most amazing things that I have ever seen in the bottom of the ocean. It was while filming for Blue Planet. It was in the Gulf of Mexico. And I noticed there's something out in the distance. Couldn't tell exactly what, but it looked like a dark band. And as we approached it, the dark band became a donut. I saw this donut that was black in the center. What the heck is that? And so as we get closer and closer to it, I noticed that the black band had what appeared to be kind of steam over it. And then I looked, and there was water lapping against the shoreline. This band was a ring of mussels. And inside the ring of mussels was a lake. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm already underwater. We went out over the water in this lake and tried to descend in it and bounced off. It was so super saline and dense that the submarine couldn't go down in it. We literally bounced off, and as we bounced off, we sent ripples heading back to the shoreline. It was insane.
And the fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained, and the waters returned from off the earth continually. And after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated.
Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention.
We up here, separated the waters from the waters. Alright, this creepy video says this lost city was discovered 400 meters deep in the ocean. I'm not sure 100% what a book nook is. By the looks of it, my guess would be to separate books, you know, but I would definitely want these. I've acquired a few books myself. Man, I would love to have something like that. To separate my books, the attention to detail, the SD shop I put at the end of this video. But man, I might have to check them out. This is right up my alley. June's book nooks. Yeah, I think at first I was thinking, do you put a book inside there? But why would you want to mess it up? I think it's to space out books so they stay straight up. Again, I never been a reader, but I'm starting to pick up the hobby, you know, because there's stuff we got to find out on these waters. So we got to hit these books, maybe learn a few different languages, like some cute cuneiform and some Paleo Hebrew, you feel me? I know it's cuneiform. I like saying cunei.
What you're looking at up here is a beetle shell. It's called the elytron. And if you did not know, beetles levitate. They don't fly, they levitate. Watch the wizardry of the beetle. So a moth flies exactly how you would expect, like it swims through the air. Same with flies, they fly horizontally. The beetle flaps out his levitators, jumps in the air, and hopes for the best. You don't really notice it because it happens really fast. But when they are about to take off, they flap out the elytra. Moth wings move in a wave and fly wings move up and down, but beetle wings move side to side just to change the rotational direction that they're going. Elytra react to electromagnetic fields as small as the one that your body produces because of these guys. They're literally little vortex generators inside the shell. Inside the shell are little resonator cavities. A pulse in the cavity creates a wave that can be directed. In our antennas, we direct the beam by delaying the pulse, but the beetle has a shell that's already curved. When you face them together downwards, they create a reflection back up. This was first discovered by Viktor Grebennikov. He studied these beetles and then glued some of their wings to the bottom of a platform and created a levitating platform. You have to lay it out in a certain pattern, but he even had controls on the footboard like a 3D scooter. Now, if you're observant, you might see where he got his inspiration for this little device. Who learned that one in school? Well, you didn't get the education that the ancients got. Their way was teaching through the geometries of nature and conveyed in symbolism. This created a philosophy optimized around the rules of reality. But hey, you got that degree though. It's okay, I got a degree too, I'm still paying that thing off.
The scooter that could actually levitate, we gotta look into that.
So a man named Grebennikov from Russia. Grebennikov was kind of a non-conventional scientist. He was an entomologist, did a lot of work with bugs, entomology. And his favorite thing was to go out into the steppes of Russia and into the various outer hinterlands and camp out in the summers and study his favorite subject. And on one of these expeditions, he started seeing some weird effects. This is all explained in great detail on the AchilleNet site if you type in Grebennikov and his flying box or gravity platform. But anyhow, the result of this was to show that he found a certain bug that didn't fly, it levitated. And this was, he'd put this bug into a little vial or something, and he saw this vial jumping up off the lab table, jumping up and down. And of course this is patently impossible based on any time of normal physics. So he got into this and he found out that the bug wings themselves were creating an anti-gravity phenomena under certain conditions. And of course what we have here, if you analyze, I think I found the bug, actually a beetle. And if you analyze this bug structure, you see a hexagonal pyramid structure array throughout the entire bottom wing of this bug. Turns out that beetles have two wings. The top wing is called a wing cover, and what the beetle does is it lifts this wing cover up and then it flips out its lower wings or inner wings. Now the bug cover protects the inner wings, but when it gets excited or something, it flips these other wings out and it flaps these other wings, and the inner wings flap a little, and this beetle goes gyrating around. They can't fly very good, but they sure levitate great, I guess. And anyway, he took a whole bunch of these bug wings and he glued them to like a Venetia blind structure, and he put it into a little platform he built. So they were all, these bug wings were all covered in here. And he used I theorize he used the wing covers as well as the inner wing itself. There's also a kind of a handlebar on this thing with some controls. You can see the thing a little better here in detail. The controls, I think, had to be manipulated continuously and probably vibrated to create the same action that the bug was doing. There was also down at the base some kind of a lever, which I suspect controlled the amount of lift he was getting out of this thing. Anyway, Grebennikov claimed that he could fly this thing or levitate it, and it would go around at almost 1,000 miles an hour. Now you ask, how can that happen? Well, he said that there was an energy field that built up around this thing due to this gravity field building up in the platform. And by this thing building up, it built out a force field that basically surrounded him and protected him from the local environment. So even though he was flying at 1,000 miles an hour, you could go, you could be wearing your Sunday best suit and not get it flutter a bit at 1,000 miles an hour. I'm not sure I'd want to stand on something going 1,000 miles an hour that's 2 feet square. But this picture here shows him sitting on the ground, and these pictures are much better if you get on the KeelyNet side. This is the platform with him on it, about 3 to 6 feet above the ground, because here's the shadow here down below. Now you could say this is all faked, but if you get into the other things he did with shape, they almost mirror the stuff that I discovered. And it proves, I guess, that, you know, there's either two crazy people in the world or there's two people that have found the same discoveries. So I think that this is a valid phenomena, and I'll show you why. Next slide is a micrograph that I took of a beetle inner wing. This is at 100x. If you look closely at this thing, you can see rows of bumps all along the bottom of this wing, each row is staggered from the next row next to it, and this is all over the surface of the bottom of the wing. Now, I don't know of any aerodynamic surface that has bumps all over the bottom to help it fly better. If you blow this up to 430x, you can start to see some of this microstructure of the cells that form where these bumps are. The next slide, at 970x, you start to see what these bumps that stick up are. They're hairs, look like hairs or fibers that grow out of the center of these hexagonal cells. And of course, this harkens back to my basic shape power discovery, is that each one of these, because of their shape going down to a point, is creating a magnetic field. And remember, a magnetic field is a rotating piece of vortex in the ether. So a man named Grebennikov from Russia.
Where is this technology at now, and how come we're not making these? What type of fuel did it say it used? Did it just needed something that could make it vibrate? So you mean to tell me we could be traveling like this? That's an interesting theory, and it looks like it would save on gas. Imagine if an airship had some type of way of vibrating to stay afloat like that, and it was powered from the ether. Then it wouldn't need any type of fuel or anything. That is interesting.
He took a whole bunch of these bug wings and he glued them to like a Venetia blind structure, and he put it into a little platform he built. So they were all, these bug wings were all covered in here. And he used I theorize he used the wing covers as well as the inner wing itself. There's also a kind of a handlebar on this thing with some controls. You can see a thing a little better here in detail. The controls, I think, had to be manipulated continuously and probably vibrated to create the same action that the bug was doing. There was also down at the base some kind of a lever, which I suspect controlled the amount of lift he was getting out of this thing. Anyway, Grebennikov claimed that he could fly this thing or levitate it, and it would go around at almost 1,000 miles an hour. Now you ask, how can that happen? You know, well, he said that there was an energy field that built up around this thing due to this gravity field building up in the platform, and by this thing building up, it built out a force field that basically surrounded him and protected him from the local environment. So even though he was flying at 1,000 miles an hour, you could go, you could be wearing your Sunday best suit and not get it flutter a bit at 1,000 miles an hour. He took a whole bunch.
I mean, how else could you explain something like this being propelled throughout the sky like that? It's basically moving like a jetpack. You know, it looks like it can't hold that much fuel, and just look how it's turning and spinning. Like, this is what we're looking at. You can get rid of bicycles in like cities and stuff, and people running around in those things. I mean, it would need some work, to make it functional for everybody, but man, can you imagine how much it would save people? Gasolines, imagine Ubers getting your stuff dropped off like this. Man, your food would still be hot, Man, that's your guys' thoughts below.
at a frequency, and if you know that frequency,
A force on an object capable of
everything vibrates at a frequency, and if you know that frequency, you can control things. This is the moth, and this is diagramming all the frequencies of the elements and what their vibrational frequencies are, and the numbers that measure those frequencies. And they're all the numbers we get from looking at these ancient traditions that recur over and over and over again.
And so through this technology, they're able to move stones or cut stones or all the above?
All the above.
We call these transducers, which is just a fancy word for speakers. These speakers, they only work at one frequency, and this frequency is 40 kilohertz, which we shouldn't be able to hear. Only bats, dogs, and other animals should be able to hear 40 kilohertz. But because the ultrasound is so powerful, if we put some particles, they should be kept in midair with the power of sound. And all this is that they are just being like kept there with air. Actually, it's not air, it's the ultrasound pushing them from all directions.
Scientists already knew that sound waves create oscillating pockets of pressurized air, which can produce a force on an object capable of counteracting the pull of gravity. But while ultrasound levitation devices do exist, they all rely on standing waves created when two sound waves of the same frequency are emitted from opposite directions and superimposed on one another. That means all previous devices require two sets of transducers.
Look how the sound waves are just making that car ripple. I mean, that truck is banging, you know, but we never really took the time to see how matter is just flowing in like a wave-like pattern from those sound waves, man. Look at that.
Everything vibrates at a frequency, and if you know
House on Fire Ruins in Mule Canyon, Utah, is an ancient ancestral Puebloan site known for its unique appearance.
Why doesn't anyone talk about
the House on Fire Ruins in Mule Canyon, Utah, is an ancient ancestral Puebloan site known for its unique appearance. The cliff dwelling's rock formations resemble flames when illuminated by sunlight, creating a mesmerizing and iconic visual effect for visitors and photographers.
If I told you that none of us are from Earth, that the inner lands, the 7 continents we call home, are a prison intentionally populated by the descendants of those who once ruled the lands beyond the ice wall. We are not natives of the inner lands. Long before recorded history, when the explorer Richard Constantine discovered these 7 continents, discovered the lands within the ice wall, he orchestrated what has come to be known as the Great Placement. Constantine understood that control could not be maintained outside the wall in the ancestral lands. Civilizations beyond the ice wall grew too complex, too defiant, and too unpredictable. He realized with these untouched 7 continents, he could create a containment zone, an engineered world within the ice wall, designed to keep its inhabitants isolated, manipulated, and obedient. So, he devised a chilling plan: harvest embryos from the ancestral lands and populate the inner lands with carefully controlled, compliant humans. Richard would raise the first 2 embryos up into their adolescence, 1 boy, 1 girl, and then leave them to the wild to fend for themselves. This is where we get our Adam and Eve stories from. See, Richard wrote biblical stories about what he was doing with us, about how he was creating us. In these stories, he spoke of himself as this godlike figure, and he left these stories riddled around the 7 continents, knowing we'd eventually come to grasp what they meant. He knew we'd believe him. I'm going to go ahead and say this is a joke for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, that's a wild theory, man. All the way out there.
The following video was posted by a woman named Brittany. She was hiking out at New River Gorge National Park in West Virginia when she came upon this interesting sight. It does honestly look like another gigantic doorway. It actually doesn't look natural. It looks like this has been put together or made, but by what? And it's interesting that she points out the footprint on the wall because that's exactly what it looks like. This is an interesting sight. If anybody's been out at New River Gorge and have seen this, let us know what this is, because I'm going to have to put my opinion out there and say that this is not a natural formation. It's too precise. But the thing is, what made it? And is it some sort of secret facility or maybe something from prehistoric times? Take a look at this footage and tell me what you think.
We are so lost to what could possibly actually made this. It's so many possibilities. It's all we can do is just dig through it and see what's all the way in the middle. But then it would ruin that perfectly good looking structure, how good it is. Definitely an interesting structure. It looks like it's Tartarian by the looks of it. Let's hit this jump one more time before we leave. I listen! Amen. But that's all I got for today's video. If you made it this far, the code word is crystal. Drop crystal in the comments below so I know you made it all the way through the video and you're a real one. Huge shout out to all my members, and a huge shout out to the Dark Waters 9 research team, Jenniverse, Brad, Prasan, and I just thank you guys for joining me on these waters. Let me know what you think about the new setup, something you want to see, drop in the comments below. Let's talk. But until then, it's your boy Jet Ski Chuck signing out. Peace.